morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 360 for June the 16th, 2026. And I hope everybody's having a good week so far. And I hope the weather out in your end of the world is nice. Right now, it's nice here, although frosty at 11 degrees C, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, they said it was going to rain today at some point in time, but I'm not sure what that forecast is all about. And I'm hoping it doesn't rain before I go out for my walk, because I do not like walking in the rain because I will melt. Yes, do with that as you please. But let's jump right into other creative problems. This has become a creative dilemma here for me, and you have seen me talk, or you have seen pieces of this before, and you've heard me talk about it. So I'm going to give you sort of an update to what I'm doing, and I'm talking about my Japanese quilt. Now, you know, if you've been here, that I bought a few fabrics in Japan, and then I supplemented what I bought in Japan, because I didn't buy that much, with a store here in my area in Ontario. And so I have these fabrics, and I found my original idea was I wanted something that says Japan in the way the quilt is designed, and I couldn't find any patterns I really liked for this, so I decided, well, I'll venture out and make my own creation. First mistake. I thought maybe kimonos would work well. Second mistake. You can see them up here. This one with the light blue color, that was a prototype just done with scrap fabrics. The other two beside it are ones that I made using Japanese fabrics, and I adjusted the size a little bit as well. Now, they look okay, but I don't like making them. I have a love-hate relationship with foundation paper piecing. I love to hate it. I've done it in the past. Don't enjoy it, and I still don't enjoy it. But I found these designs, and they were going together relatively quickly with few problems, so I thought, yeah, okay, I could live with this for a while, but I wasn't really sure what I would do with the kimonos. Below that row, those are all my experimental ones that I was trying to design myself. They're in the scrap or orphan block pile now. So yeah, I thought, okay, this could work out very nicely. So then I found another foundation paper piecing for a fan. So yeah, that's not too bad either. However, I decided to try a couple of other designs, and they did not work out. One was for Chinese writing. The pieces were very, very tiny. It took a while to make the block, and it wasn't worth the effort. And the other one was a different type of fan, but much, much bigger. I started it, and I realized I am hating every moment of this. Now, you know, I do have this philosophy that I'm trying to adopt, and that is, if it doesn't bring joy, scrap it. I know as quilters we are reluctant when we start on a project because, you know, fabric's expensive, our time is expensive, that when we get going on something, we may persevere to the very end, even if we hate the whole process. I don't want to do that anymore because I have done that. And is it worth it? It isn't. If it's bringing you anguish, if it's not bringing you joy, as I said, then why are you doing it? Cut your losses and move on. So that's what I decided to do. Third mistake. Okay, so if I'm not going to do this, what am I going to do? I am still hatching the idea, but I'm getting close to a final resolution. So if you look over on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see a series of fans. These are not paper pieced. These are done as in the hoop applique. I found a file somewhere. I think it was on OESD, and I had a problem with that too, because apparently out of all of the things they put up, all the embroidery files they put up, I have never run into one that was not written for my machine, which basically is a Janome machine. It takes files that end in the three-letter ending JEF. I didn't realize that when I bought the design, that it didn't have a JEF file. It had several others. So when I figured that out, I had to convert it. Well, actually, I have a digitizing program called Artistic Digitizer. It is by Janome. And I just copied it into that and resaved it as a JEF file, and it worked fine. Not a problem. So there are several sizes. As you can see, those three in the column. So I made one of each size to see which size I liked the best. And the one that I really liked the best, I thought at the time, was this middle one. I was still looking at the size of these blocks and thought, well, that would work maybe with some coping strips. I could get that to work. So I made this big one. This one you stitch in the hoop. I should have used water-soluble stabilizer for it. No, I thought I'd cheat and see if I could put it together using my white background. That did not work. And I could carry on, and I may still use the big one, but what I'll do is I'll applique it onto my background fabric for that. So that's a possibility, because I do like the design of that, and that might make a nice center section of my quilt. Now at this point I have decided kimonos are out. I'm only going to do what you see here with the fans. However, I am playing around with some other patterns that I got that are sashiko designs, and that's what this one is over here underneath the big fan. That was a test one. I can see I would need more layers of stabilizer because it is pulling a little bit on the sides of this. I wouldn't necessarily put it on a white background. I wouldn't necessarily use that color of thread, but that's a possibility. Let's jump then down to this. So I played around with some half square triangles, and this of course is a friendship star. I think that's what they call it, but I'm going to call it the ninja star. And because ninjas, Japan, kind of a thing, maybe a bit of a stereotype, but nevertheless. And you'll notice in the center, I have this fan block I've been playing with in a much smaller format. It fits in the center of that 4.5 inch unfinished, 4-inch finished square in the center. And I'm liking that. So I had to put this pattern into the Artistic Digitizer and shrink it down to the size I need it, because the editing feature on my Janome 550E would not let me go down this small. So that works out pretty good. I like this idea of the fans in the center block. Now, I have other fabrics and other colors, and my idea right now is I'll make a series of these blocks. I may change the style of the block. I may do more of a star block with this as well and mix and match. And I'll do the same with the fabrics. So you'll get a variety of the fabrics. There's big enough pieces in this that you can see what the fabric looks like. It showcases the Japanese fabric. And yeah, I may build the quilt that way. The other thing is I ordered from Etsy a embroidery. I think I mentioned it on my vlog yesterday, that I saw that is of a Japanese lantern, very stylish. Now I haven't sewn one of those out yet to see exactly what it will look like, but I bought it. It wasn't very expensive, and in fact I had a little problem excuse me, with my order. It sat there and sat there, and it said it was an instant, well, I thought it said it was an instant digital download, which most of the time these kind of files are when they're done on Etsy. And I contacted the seller, and long story short, she custom makes all of her designs. I don't know what that really means when she calls it custom making. I mean, I would have thought that she has all these designs up there. They're already made. She has them somewhere on a server, and when you buy one, you have the link and you just download it. Anyways, she's in a totally different time zone. I'm not sure where she is. I suspect she's in Asia somewhere. Anyways, we were communicating back and forth. We cleared up the misunderstanding. She promised she would have it for me, and last night at about 10 o'clock, it came through. 10 o'clock my time. For her, it was probably much earlier. So I have that file now. I've just transferred them to my embroidery machine and did a preliminary look at them, and they seem to be fine. So later I'm going to try and stitch it out and see how I like that and what I do with it. So this is how my process is working right now with this quilt. I'm getting closer to a final design decision. Still a little bit more experimenting to do. But if anything, this process has taught me is that I definitely do not like foundation paper piecing. I don't. And now I'm going to say something very insulting for those people who like foundation paper piecing. I'm sorry, I don't really consider it true quilting. Yes, I know. You don't need to write the hate mail. I know it is a tool in our arsenal for doing things. And it probably has its place. It especially has its place for people who have trouble with their points. I don't, usually. Let's not talk about the Alaska quilt, okay? But yes, it does make nice, neat points. And for certain shapes that you just can't do in traditional patchwork, it's great for that. But for me, I stay away from it. I find it tedious. I find it boring. I also find it's very easy for me to screw up with foundation paper piecing. So maybe I shouldn't say it's not quilting. It is a different form of quilting, and it's a tool. And if it works for you to get the end result that you want, that's fine. Also, I don't like the way paper pieced, or at least I don't like the way these kimonos that I've done in paper piecing look in comparison to regular patchwork. I don't know. Call me a purist. Call me crazy. Call me an idiot. I do all the time. Anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you, my feelings. So before someone tells me, oh, you should find this design in foundation paper piecing, you'll love it, or you should use freezer paper instead, you'll find that easier. I know all about those techniques. I have explored them over time before, and I've just come to the conclusion I don't like it. And as I look at that friendship star, I think I've got something screwed up in there. Yeah, something's not right in the way that's working. We'll have to explore that further. But anyways, these are all prototypes anyway, so, you know, if I've screwed up, I've screwed up. I will unscrew it. Start now. Okay, so that was a bit lengthy, wasn't it? By the way, if you're hearing a little bit of a hum in the background, in that I've got my 3D printers going, all three of them. I'm expecting a huge order of filament today, and I need to store it somewhere, and I need racks for it. So I'm building or printing out racks for it. So sorry if that's annoying in the background, but I don't dare turn off the 3D printers at this point in time, because yeah, I need to get this done. Okay, you'll especially notice that I think anybody who wears headphones when they're watching these videos, okay, it'll be a little bit more obvious there. I have my noise cancellation button on, but it should be fine. In fact, I'm just going to double check it to make sure. Okay, I just played back that last little bit, and for me, and I really can't hear my printers, so that is a good thing. Okay, let's move on to the other project I've been working on, and that's these music portfolios for our great nieces. It's a little gift to give to them, along with the Holland duffel bag. I made one. Well, I have two of them made, and they're going to the girls, so I think they'll like these. I may make one more of these. In fact, I'm looking at the darker one right here, and yeah, I have a little problem with it. Do you notice? This is going off. Somehow I didn't get my positioning right. So I may redo this one and just use this one as for other things or something. Yeah. There is one other subtle difference on here. I just noticed it. Any of you that can read music notation, you will already have noticed the problem. And I'm not changing it. It's going to stay that way. My notes are upside down on the flap. They should be flipped the other way. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Just noticed that now. Damn it. Okay, well, back to the drawing board on that, right? Okay, moving on. What's coming up? Sewing with me as usual on Wednesdays, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, ending at 4 p.m. Eastern. Link is in the show notes. All are welcome. Come and go as you please. Work on whatever you want. Okay, I do not have any subscribers' comments for this week that I would like to showcase. Many of you were giving me suggestions for foundation piecing, paper piecing, and thank you very much for those. And most of the other comments were just, you know, you liked some of the projects I had shown you and all that kind of stuff. And I also like those kind of comments as well. As I said in another video, I comment on every comment that comes up. Sometimes I will write a more detailed comment. And I'll be honest, on YouTube, the AI that YouTube has working in its program comes up with suggested responses, quick responses, and I use those occasionally because they've said it all. AI is wonderful. You're going to say, well, that's not much of a personal touch. Well, you're right, it's not. But the fact is, I am answering in one form or another your comments. I appreciate your comments. Keep them coming in. If you see a little heart next to your comment, it means I have read it. I appreciate it. If there are a question, I will answer the question to the best of my ability. And if it's just a really nice, you know, complimentary comment, you'll get a heart, or you'll get one of my canned comments thanking you for it. I get a lot of comments. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of content creators never even acknowledge that people have written comments. I want you to know that I truly do appreciate your comments, and I do, in one way or another, respond to it. So I hope you'll look at, especially the canned comments, in that light. That, you know, it saves me some time. And what more can I say in that comment, you know? So if I feel that there's a canned comment that sums up exactly what I want to say, then I will use it. You know, why reinvent the wheel, as they say. But thank you for the comments. Okay, so last week's videos, well, actually this week's video, Monday Morning Coffee with me, we had I called it, oh no, Bambu's having a sale. Yes, Bambu, I have found out, only has a sale twice a year, this time of the year and Black Friday. And they're not absolutely the most wonderful sales, but this is the time right now. If you're thinking about buying a 3D printer, go check out Bambu Labs website, because they do have their machines on for decent prices. So if you've been holding back because of the price, it might be at a price point you can afford right now. I am not sponsored by Bambu Labs, but I do love them. So I ordered, filament was on sale, so I stocked up. I think I bought 24 spools of filament. This is why I am making racks right now to hold my filament. I cannot get any more filament in my cupboard or on the counter I have where my 3D printing stuff is. It's full. So I'm going to have to move into the Lucy room. I have an area in there, but to keep it nice and neat and tidy, I am 3D printing these racks. I've used them before. It's how I store my boxes of filament in this room, and getting ready for the big delivery. Now, it's supposed to come today, which is fast because I ordered it yesterday. We shall see. Sometimes it does. Other times you have to wait. Usually you have to wait if you order something from Bambu Lab, because they actually have to have it shipped over from their factory in China. And it goes to, well, for us as Canadians, it goes to Vancouver first when it comes over. And then from Vancouver, it comes to Toronto. From Toronto, it comes to me. So that has taken a week sometimes. Usually they are no more than a week, but many, many times it's almost next day delivery. So we'll see today if that's the case. And that's usually if in their warehouse out in Vancouver, or I don't know where else they have warehouses. They may have one in Toronto. If it's in a local warehouse, then you get it faster. So, no complaints about that. And it's free shipping if you buy over about $60 or $65 worth of product. And it's not hard to do. Okay. So, yeah, that's why if you're hearing that little hum in the background, it means all three 3D printers are madly making me racks in anticipation of my big order. So, yeah, that was Monday morning. I'd mentioned that. So chatty last week. We did stripology rulers. Did two tutorials, one on stripology ruler and one on what makes a good instructional video. Many of you seem to own, you said in the comments, you owned a stripology ruler, and some of you hadn't even unwrapped it yet, and you've had it for several years. Some of you used it once, put it away. Well, it's a pricey little tool to buy. But now you're saying you're getting them out again and it's got new life because of what I showed on the video. And that makes me feel really happy. Not because I want you to buy a stripology ruler. Again, I'm not sponsored by GE Designs that design the ruler. I just always will show you things and give you my honest opinion about them that I use regularly. And stripology rulers I use all the time. I've actually worn out a couple of them over time. So, yeah, so I'm very happy that you found that you're going to get new life out of something that you had just cast off and chalked it up to, well, that was a nice idea at the time, not going for it anymore. I'm glad that I showed you that it can be very useful. And on Stephen and Walter Live, we talked about something very scary that's happening in the United States right now. Well, anything that happens in the United States right now is scary. But this is not our political part of my weekly thing. So just to say that we talked about a movement that if you haven't heard about it, you need to watch our replay of Stephen Walter Live and do a little search on Google for Turning Point. It should really upset you. It should. If you are not an extreme rightist thinker and a mega supporter, this should really, really not only upset you, but scare you, especially the ladies. Okay, so let's talk about, I told you I had a little problem with embroidery designs. It seems to be the week for it. But here's something that gets my goat. When I used to go to guild meetings, and I was the only man at the guild, they would stand up, the ladies running it would stand up and greet everybody and go, hello, ladies, or you ladies will like this, or you ladies will appreciate this. And hello, not a lady. Do you see a bra and a skirt on this body? Not saying that I couldn't get away with a bra these days, but gravity's not your friend at any age, at our age, whether you're male or female. But it kind of bothered me because it's sexist. And I know there'll be some ladies out there and go, well, now you know what it feels like. Men have been sexist for decades. Yes, they have. I'm not making any excuses for that. I'm not making. I'm acknowledging the fact that as men, my sex have been extremely horrible to women throughout history. Okay, I've said it. But many of us are trying to change that. However, double standard. If men are sexist, women can be sexist too. So, where's this leading to? So I had bought a design from Creative Kiwi. Creative Kiwi is one of my favorite embroidery sites. They're in New Zealand. And I have bought many, many of their files in the past. So I have the instructions for this project that I'm working on, or was working on. And right in the first line of the instructions, it said, I can't wait, the person writing it says, I can't wait to see what you ladies are going to do with this design. Excuse me. There's so many things wrong with that. One, they're assuming that only women do machine embroidery. Hello, no, I'm a man, and I know other men that do it too. I mean, embroidery machines are sexless. Anybody can work with one. So I found that offensive. And I thought, if I find it in this one instruction, what other instructions? Now, I hadn't come across it or had noticed it in any of the instructions for other things I've bought in the past. But I thought, am I going to leave this? I mean, many of you out there are going to say, oh, you're just being petty. Yeah, I am. But aren't women petty too, that point out to a man who just slip of the tongue has said something that they have interpreted as being sexist? Yeah. So I wrote to them and I explained to them, look, I'm a long-time customer. I love your designs and everything. I just want you to know, blah, 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 about this. And I told them that I would be telling my subscribers about this. But, you know, if they would like to write back to me about that, I would be more than happy to share the reply. Now, if I worked for this company, this is what I would do. I would see it. My initial reaction would go, oh, come on, get off the pot. I haven't got time to worry about minor little stupid things like this. Second thought that would come to my head is, but wait, this person writing this is a customer. We do not want to alienate our customer base. After all, we are a company. We need their money for this kind of thing. So I would write back and I would write, thank you so much for your email and pointing out this situation to us. We did not do it on purpose, and rest assured, we will be very aware on future things that we create and write that we are sensitive to this type of issue. Thank you so much for bringing it to our attention. That is how I would handle it if I owned the company. In reality, they probably will discard it. And the reason I do have precedent for this, I have written to this company before about a totally unrelated problem, and they never acknowledged that they even got the email. And you know, I have a problem with companies that do that. Yeah, they probably get a lot of emails from a lot of cranks. Okay, there's a lot of them out there. However, whatever happened to the old adage, you know, the customer's always right, it's just good PR to at least acknowledge that you have received this email and that you're taking it into consideration. Then you can throw it out. Yeah, that's called paying lip service, but it's better than no service at all. So we shall see. I only sent that, I sent it on Sunday. I think I sent it on Sunday. So we'll wait a few more days. I mean, I'm not going to do any follow-up on it. It's not really worth it. But at least for me, in my own mind, I did something to move us one step closer to sexual equality. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Subscribers quilt of the week. Well, this comes from our friend in the south of France, Nadine Logan, who we've seen some of her beautiful creations before, and this one's a little different, as you're going to find out. This week's subscribers quilt comes from all the way from France, and that's from our friend Nadine Logan. And Nadine writes this about this creation, which is actually crocheted as opposed to patchwork. She says, I'm sending you a photo of my latest project, which I finished last night. Yes, I know it's not a quilt, but a crocheted blanket, but I want to share it with you anyway. This small blanket used a very small amount of 20 balls of yarn, 18 dark oranges and 2 light oranges. I used a wool alpaca cotton blend. Half an hour ago, I gave it to the person for whom this blanket was intended. She cried and couldn't believe it. I had never told her I was making something for her. Honestly, I think I chose the right person for this blanket. This blanket will be loved, cherished, and used, but not right away because it's already 29 degrees C here. So, Nadine, this is fantastic. In another life, I was also a crocheter, but I don't think I ever made anything quite as elaborate and beautiful as what you have created here. I am so happy for you that the person you gave it to really showed that they appreciated it, because that makes it all the effort and the time that you put into this, and you obviously put in a lot of time in this, worthwhile. Absolutely gorgeous, Nadine. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. So thank you, Nadine, for sharing your beautiful creation with us. And if you would like me to feature one of your beautiful creations, then please send me one picture and a little blurb about it, 50 words or less, and I will be happy to feature it on an upcoming episode of the Idiot Quilter. Okay, short tip of the week from YouTube. And this is something I am surprised because I just took for granted that with modern sewing machines, this shouldn't be a problem anymore for people. But apparently, a lot of people are afraid to use their domestic sewing machine to sew on a button. So here's the tip of the week. This week's YouTube short tip is all about sewing buttonholes. And for some reason, a lot of people are really afraid to make a buttonhole. But you know, with these modern sewing machines, it already comes with the right feet for making these effectively. And this comes from Cornelius Queering, and I have interviewed Cornelius before as well, and he is a master sewer, and anything he tells you, he shows you how to do very well, and it's not that complicated. So you shouldn't be afraid of making a buttonhole. Check out this tip. So if you're one of those kind of people that has that foot, get it out and give it a try. I refuse. If a button drops off a shirt, well, I have two avenues. I can hand the shirt and the button to Walter and go, "Can you put this back on, please, dear?" No, actually, I do it myself, and I use the domestic sewing machine, and I kind of like doing it. It's kind of fun, and it takes no time at all. And especially because I am not a hand sewer, that's a godsend for me. Okay, so demo for this week, or part of the continuing series on my Healing Waters pattern. And this week, what we're looking at is how I made the top and bottom rows. And this is a short video today with this. It only runs about 5 minutes long. So you have time for a quickie coffee if you want as you watch this. Okay, so now we've got the right side of the quilt sewn on as well. And we did it the same way as the other. We just flipped it so that the blocks are in the right place according to the diagram that you have in your pattern. So that means now we want to work on the top and the bottom parts. And it's the same thing. I've laid it out which way the blocks go. Do be sure to have the blocks going in the right orientation. And you're going to make two of these. They'll both be identical. They'll just be flipped when we put them on. So you need to make two of these strips. And then one will be the top, one will be the bottom row, and then you're going to sew it all on the top and on the bottom, just like you would for any other quilt. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so we've got the side borders and the top and the bottom border sewn on. Now, just a tip here. Panels are not printed perfectly straight. And even though you were really accurate in the way you cut the size of the panel according to the instructions, when you get to the top and the bottom border, you may be out just a fraction of an inch, like about a 1/16 of an inch. So the best way I found to get everything to line up is line up this top seam with the top of the panel here, the same on this side, as best you can. Clip those before you clip anything else. And then, as you're clipping or pinning the top border to the panel in preparation for sewing it, I suggest you just slightly ease the fabric in just a fraction of a millimeter so it comes out nice and even, and you can keep this part, these intersections, lined up. Do that both on the top and the bottom. There are some factors here when you're working with this many little pieces in each of these blocks, that if your seam allowance was slightly out, even by like a 1/16 of an inch or something like that, this piece may not be quite long enough. But you can't cut any off the edges of this to even it up, because if you do, you risk cutting off your points, because we're going to be adding border pieces to this as well. So we need 1/4 of an inch away from these points. Otherwise, it's going to cut them off. So take your time with it, and just slowly make sure you don't have any tucks, but at the same time, these seams here
these intersections are lining up perfectly, or as perfect as you can get it. Depending on the fabric you pick, it may not have to be absolutely perfect. It may be hidden, like it is a little hidden here on mine. And once the other things go on here, we'll be fine. But that's just the nature of the beast. And I have found that with other panels I have worked with and other people's patterns as well. So just something you should be aware of. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is sew on our side and top inner borders, and they're just straight strips of fabric. And in the instructions, get in the shot here, I did say on page very early in the pattern, make the inside border pieces. That's step number 4. It says using the 6 3.5 inch by width of fabric strips of fabric B cut for the inside border, make 4 58-inch strips. And you're going to do something similar with the outside border, only you have 8 2.5 inch width of fabric strips from fabric A, and this is the outside border, and you're going to make 2 74-inch strips and 2 59-inch strips. We're going to leave that part aside, the making the outside border pieces, because those don't come for a bit. But we are now going to turn our attention to those inside border pieces, and those are the strips that are 3.5 inches wide by width of fabric, 6 of them from fabric B, and then you're going to end up making, by joining them end to end, your choice of joining it. You can do it on the bias, or you can just do it straight on. I think I'll just do it on, straight across, and you're going to make 4 58-inch strips. So that's what we're going to do next.
Now, I think I've got only maybe one more video in that, maybe two, to show you for the healing waters, and then it is done. And this is what I'd like to know. Would you like me to take these little short pieces that I've been showing you for healing waters and put them all together as one video and post it as on its own for you? The reason I say that is because I think a few of you may have downloaded my pattern for healing waters, and maybe it would be helpful for you. Although my patterns are pretty simplistic, okay? But let me know if you would like me to do that, and I'd be more than happy to put all those pieces together and post it as one video. Okay, I think that's about all I've got today. I'm going to go back today to my Japanese quilt and see if I can maybe finalize my design a little bit more and play a little bit more with my embroidery machine as well with this. And we'll see how that all turns out. And of course, I'll share my results with you next week on the episode of The Idiot Quilter. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye for now. Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.